The photographer's flash went off, and I watched from across the gym as my sister Maya posed for her senior yearbook photo with those choppy, uneven bangs that made her look like she'd lost a fight with a lawnmower. The entire photography crew was trying not to laugh. Maya's face was turning redder by the second as she realized what I'd known for months. Those bangs were going to haunt her forever, immortalized in print for every future reunion, every nostalgic flip through old photos, every moment she'd want to forget. 6 months ago, I would have been the one in that chair, humiliated and mocked. 6 months ago, I was dead. But death, as it turns out, sometimes gives you a second chance. And this time, I wasn't going to waste it. The sound of Maya's frustrated shriek echoed through the gymnasium as she demanded a reshoot, but the photographer was already packing up his equipment. "Sorry, one shot per student. School policy," he said, though I could see him fighting back a smile. Maya's hands flew to her forehead, desperately trying to smooth down the disaster she'd created, but there was no fixing what she'd done to herself. I touched my own hair, long, sleek, and perfectly styled, remembering how different things had been before. Before I died. Before I came back. Before I learned exactly what my family had been doing to me all along. My name is Riley Chen, and this is my second time being 17 years old. The first time ended when I accidentally ingested the peanut oil my sister had secretly mixed into my pre-SAT breakfast, knowing full well about my severe allergy. I died in the school parking lot, gasping for air while Maya stood there with my EpiPen in her purse, watching me struggle, telling everyone she was too panicked to remember I even had one. The paramedics said I was dead for 7 minutes. 7 minutes of nothing. No white light, no peaceful meadow, no choir of angels, just darkness, and then I was 10 years old again, waking up in my childhood bedroom with all my memories intact and 7 years to prepare for what was coming. At first, I thought I was dreaming or maybe hallucinating in my final moments. But when days turned into weeks and weeks into months, I realized this was real. I had been given an impossible gift, the chance to relive my life knowing exactly how it would unfold if I let it. The first time around, I'd been the Chen family's perpetual disappointment. Not because I actually failed at anything, but because my parents had decided before I was even born that Maya would be the golden child. She was prettier, they said, though we looked almost identical. She was smarter, they claimed, though I consistently outscored her until they started sabotaging my work. She was more talented, they insisted, though they never let me pursue anything long enough to develop real skill. Everything I had went to Maya, my clothes once I'd worn them enough to be broken in, my electronics once I'd figured out all the features, my hairstyles once they started getting compliments, even my achievements. Every award I earned mysteriously ended up credited to her, every grade I achieved was somehow recorded under her name. Every friend I made was eventually convinced I was the evil sister trying to steal Maya's life. The bangs had been the last straw in my first life. I'd spent months growing them out, finally achieving the perfect curtain bang style that framed my face beautifully. I'd posted one photo on Instagram, just one, and received more likes and comments than Maya had gotten in months. The next morning, she'd cut her hair to match mine exactly, then told everyone I was copying her. Our parents backed her up, of course, they always did. "Riley's always been jealous of Maya," my mother had said to anyone who would listen. "She copies everything Maya does, trying to steal her identity." The gaslighting was so complete that I'd actually started to question my own memories. Did I cut my bangs first, or did Maya? Had I really earned that science fair prize, or was I misremembering? Was I the problem? I wasn't. And this time, I had 7 years of foreknowledge to prove it. The rebirth, or whatever you want to call it, hadn't just given me knowledge of the future. It had given me something else, too. Call it karmic justice or cosmic balance, but I'd come back with an inherent luck that defied explanation. Not lottery winning, obvious luck that would draw attention, but a subtle force that seemed to reward kindness toward me and punish cruelty. When Maya borrowed my favorite sweater without asking and accidentally spilled bleach on it, she somehow managed to ruin her entire load of laundry in the process. When my father gave her my birthday money claiming I didn't deserve it, His wallet was mysteriously stolen the next day with all his credit cards and cash. When my mother donated my art supplies to Maya's school fundraiser, telling me I had no talent anyway, she developed a sudden, severe allergy to her expensive face cream that left her with hives for weeks. At first, I thought these were just coincidences, but as the pattern continued, I realized this was my edge, the universe's way of evening the score. I couldn't control it directly, couldn't wish specific punishments on people, but it was there, a protective force field of consequences for those who wronged me. So I played the long game. I let them think I was the same pushover I'd been before, but I was different, smarter. I knew what was coming, and I prepared. When I was 12 and Maya tried to frame me for cheating on a test by slipping answer keys into my backpack, I'd already informed my teacher about finding them in the library and turned them in before the exam. The teacher found the same answer keys in my backpack, planted there by Maya, and immediately recognized them as the ones I'd already reported. The security footage showed Maya putting them there. She got a Y, 2-week suspension and a permanent mark on her record. When I was 14 and my parents tried to force me to give Maya my spot in the advanced art program, claiming she was more talented, I'd already submitted my portfolio to a national competition under a pseudonym. When I won first place and a full scholarship to summer art camp, the judges' published comments specifically praised techniques that were undeniably mine, techniques I'd been secretly developing with online tutorials my family didn't know about. When I was 15 and Maya tried to steal my boyfriend by spreading rumors that I was cheating on him, I'd already shared my phone's location history with him, proving I was exactly where I said I was every single time. Meanwhile, Maya's lies unraveled spectacularly when multiple witnesses came forward with screenshots of her trying to seduce him. The whole school turned on her for weeks, but the bangs were going to be my masterpiece. In my first life, Maya had copied my haircut in March of senior year, right before yearbook photos. This time I was ready. I started growing out my bangs in January, telling everyone I was embracing a new look for college. Maya, predictably, mocked me relentlessly. "You look so plain without bang," she'd sneer at breakfast. Like a before picture in a makeover show. "At least she's not hiding behind her hair anymore," my mother would add. Though I'm not sure that face is worth showing. I endured it all with a smile, knowing what was coming. See, Maya had one fatal flaw. She was obsessed with being unique while simultaneously being incapable of originality. She could only define herself in opposition to me. If I had something, she had to have it better. If I did something, she had to do it first. But if I didn't have something, she couldn't figure out what to do. So when I grew out my bangs, Maya kept hers, constantly styling them in increasingly elaborate ways to prove she was the prettier sister. She invested in expensive hair products, spent hours perfecting the look, posted tutorial videos on TikTok about maintaining the perfect fringe. She became known for those bangs. They were her signature. Until March 15th, when I walked into school with a fresh set of curtain bangs, perfectly cut and styled by the city's most exclusive hairstylist, a booking I'd made 6 months in advance, using money I'd saved from online art commissions my family didn't know about. The reaction was immediate. People stopped me in the halls to compliment the new look. Teachers commented on how mature and sophisticated I looked. The school's Instagram page featured a candid photo of me that got thousands of likes. Local fashion bloggers reached out asking for styling tips. Maya was furious. She came home ranting about how I'd copied her signature look, how I was trying to steal her identity, how pathetic it was that I couldn't come up with my own style. My parents, as always, took her side. "You need to cut your hair differently," my father ordered that night at dinner. "Your sister has had bangs for years. Find your own look." "Actually," I said, pulling out my phone, "I had bangs first. Here's a photo from 3 years ago." I showed them a picture from my first life, one I'd managed to recover from a friend's old social media account. Maya cut hers after mine started getting compliments. "That's obviously photoshopped," my mother said without even looking closely. "Stop lying, Riley." But I'd anticipated this too. "Then explain this," I said, pulling up Maya's old TikTok videos. 6 months of tutorials about bangs, all posted after I grew mine out. Why would she need tutorials for a hairstyle she'd supposedly had for years? Maya's face went white. "Those were just..." Refreshers. For my followers. Your followers who all commented asking when you'd cut your bangs? Seems like they didn't know about your signature look either. The conversation ended with my parents sending me to my room, but the seed of doubt was planted. More importantly, Maya was rattled, and rattled Maya made mistakes. The next day, she went to the salon during lunch and demanded they cut her bangs exactly like mine. But here's the thing about curtain bangs. They require a specific face shape and hair texture to work properly. Maya and I might look similar, but our hair was completely different. Mine was naturally straight with just the right amount of volume. Hers was thick and wavy, requiring constant straightening to achieve the look she wanted. The stylist tried to warn her. I know because I'd specifically chosen that salon knowing that the owner, Mrs. Kim, was a consummate professional who would never let a client leave looking bad if she could help it. But Maya, in her desperation to one-up me, insisted she knew better. She even brought in a photo of me and demanded an exact recreation. Make it better than hers, she'd apparently said. Shorter and more dramatic. Mrs. Kim, bound by customer is always right policies and probably tired of Maya's attitude, did exactly as asked. The result was the disaster currently being immortalized in Maya's senior portrait. The thing about curtain bangs is that they're meant to frame your face gently, creating a soft, romantic look. Cut them too short and they stick up. Cut them on hair that's been chemically straightened for years without proper care, and they frizz. Add in Maya's nervous habit of touching her hair when she's anxious, and you get what looked like she'd been electrocuted. But the best part, the part that made all of this worthwhile, was still to come. 3 days after the yearbook photos, we had the Senior Academic Awards ceremony. Unknown to my family, I'd been contacted weeks ago about receiving the valedictorian honor. My grades were undeniable, even with years of my family trying to sabotage them. I'd taken extra AP classes online, had perfect SAT scores, and had already been accepted early admission to Yale, something I'd kept secret by having mail sent to a P.O. box I'd rented with money from my online art sales. Maya, meanwhile, was barely in the top 20% of our class. She'd spent so much time trying to undermine me that she'd neglected her own academics. Her college applications had all been rejected or waitlisted, something my parents were frantically trying to fix with last-minute donations they couldn't really afford. The morning of the ceremony, Maya was still trying to fix her bangs. She'd deep conditioned them, used every product she owned, even tried clip-in extensions, but nothing worked. The damage was done. In desperation, she'd pinned them back with bobby pins, but that just made her forehead look enormous. "You did this," she hissed at me over breakfast. "You somehow tricked me into cutting them wrong." "I didn't make you do anything," I replied calmly, eating my cereal, which I'd checked thoroughly for allergens. "You chose to copy my hairstyle. You chose to demand the stylist cut them shorter. You chose to ignore professional advice. Every choice was yours." "Mom," Maya wailed, "make her fix this." Our mother rushed over, glaring at me. What did you do to your sister?" "Nothing. I got a haircut. She copied it." "How is that my fault?" "You know she's sensitive about her appearance," my father interjected. "You should have consulted with us before changing your look." "I'm 18, I reminded them. "I don't need permission to cut my hair." "You live under our roof," he started, but I cut him off. "Not for much longer." They all froze. This was news to them. I wasn't supposed to have college plans yet. In their minds, I was going to community college while Maya went to a prestigious university. They'd already told everyone this was the plan, had already started converting my room into a gym for when Maya came home to visit. "What's that supposed to mean?" my mother asked slowly. "It means I've been accepted to Yale. Full scholarship. I leave in August." The silence was deafening. Maya's face cycled through disbelief, rage, and finally, a dangerous calm that I recognized from my first life. This was the face she'd worn when she decided to poison me. "You're lying," she said flatly. I pulled out my phone and showed them the acceptance email, the scholarship letter, the enrollment confirmation I'd already submitted. "I've also got acceptances from Harvard, Princeton, and Stanford if Yale doesn't work out." How? My father sputtered. Your grades are perfect, I finished. 4.0 GPA, 1600 SAT, National Merit Scholar, published in 3 academic journals, and the winner of multiple national competitions. You'd know this if you ever actually looked at my report cards instead of just assuming Maya was doing better. But Maya said, my mother started. Maya lied, like she always does, like you always believe. I stood up, grabbing my backpack. I'm done trying to convince you. After graduation, I'm gone. You can keep your golden child and all her lies, see how far they get you. I walked out, leaving them in stunned silence. But I knew Maya wouldn't let this go. She never did when I outshone her. In my first life, this was when she'd started planning the peanut oil incident. This time, I was ready. The awards ceremony was that evening. I'd arranged for several friends to record everything, telling them I wanted memories of senior year. Really, I wanted evidence of what I knew was coming. The auditorium was packed with students, parents, and faculty. My family sat in the middle section. I could see them from backstage where the award recipients waited. Maya was still trying to fix her bangs, obsessively smoothing them down, only to have them spring back up. My parents kept shooting me angry looks as if my success was a personal betrayal. The ceremony began with minor awards: perfect attendance, most improved, various department recognitions. Then came the academic honors. One by one, they called the top 10 students. Maya wasn't among them. And now, the principal announced, for our valedictorian with the highest GPA in our school's history, winner of the Presidential Scholarship and recently accepted to Yale University with a full academic scholarship, Riley Chen. The applause was thunderous. I walked onto the stage, accepting the award and the scholarship check, $10,000 from local businesses to support my education. But as I turned to give my prepared speech, I saw Maya storming out of the auditorium, my parents following her. They missed my speech. They missed hearing about how I'd overcome family challenges to achieve academic excellence. They missed the standing ovation when I announced I'd be donating half my scholarship money to fund art supplies for underprivileged students, a direct jab at my mother donating my supplies years ago. But Maya hadn't left to sulk. She'd left to plan. I found out later from friends who'd overheard her in the parking lot. She was on the phone with someone, arranging to buy peanut oil. The same plan as my first life, just moved up in the timeline. She couldn't wait until the SATs now. She needed to stop me before graduation, before I could leave and prove I didn't need them. That's when my luck kicked in. Or maybe it was just karma catching up. Maya was so focused on her phone call that she didn't watch where she was going. She walked straight into the path of a campus security golf cart, which knocked her into a decorative fountain. Her phone flew into the water, destroyed. She emerged soaking wet, her disastrous bangs plastered to her forehead. Just as a group of college scouts arrived for a late athletic recruitment meeting, the scouts, who happened to include a Yale representative I'd met during my interview, saw the whole thing. They also heard her screaming obscenities at the security guard, threatening to have him fired, claiming her father would sue the school. The Yale representative recognized her last name, connected her to me, and made a note in his phone. I found out later that note said, "Family concern, monitor student welfare." Maya had to go home to change, missing the rest of the ceremony where I received 3 more awards and another scholarship. By the time she returned, the reception was almost over, and everyone was talking about my achievements. Her bangs had dried into an even worse configuration, and someone had already posted a video of her fountain incident on social media with the caption, "Valedictorian's sister takes a swim." But Maya wasn't done. She never was when cornered. The next morning, I woke up early and checked everything: my food, my drinks, my belongings. I'd installed a hidden camera in my room months ago, motion activated and uploading to the cloud. I'd also started carrying an EpiPen everywhere, along with Benadryl and a medical alert bracelet I'd bought myself. At breakfast, Maya was suspiciously friendly. "I wanted to apologize," she said, pushing a plate of pancakes toward me. "I've been jealous and petty. You deserve your success." Our parents beamed, happy to see their daughters getting along. But I saw the slight sheen on the pancakes that wasn't quite right, smelled the faint, nutty aroma that shouldn't have been there. "That's so sweet, Maya," I said, picking up the plate. "But I already ate at Jessica's house. We had an early study group. I walked to the trash and dumped the entire plate, maintaining eye contact with her the whole time. Her eye twitched. That's wasteful. Not as wasteful as an ambulance ride and an ER visit, I replied cheerfully. My parents didn't understand the exchange, but Maya did. She knew I knew. And for the first time in either of my lives, I saw fear in her eyes. That afternoon, while my family was out, I went through Maya's room. I found the peanut oil hidden in her closet, along with a journal detailing her plans. Not just for the poisoning, but years of schemes, forging my signatures on withdrawal forms, hacking my email to decline opportunities, even plans to sabotage my Yale admission by sending a fake email rescinding my acceptance. I took photos of everything, then put it all back exactly as I'd found it. I wasn't going to turn her in yet. I wanted her to know what it felt like to live in fear, to wonder when the other shoe would drop. That evening at dinner, I casually mentioned that I'd been feeling unwell and had gone to the doctor. He ran some tests, I said, watching Maya's face carefully. Found some unusual things in my blood work. Traces of substances I'm allergic to, but at levels too low to cause a full reaction. He said it looked like someone might have been slowly trying to build up to a lethal dose. Maya's fork clattered to her plate. That's absurd, my mother said. Who would do such a thing? I don't know, I replied. But the doctor is mandated to report. The police might want to interview everyone who's had access to my food. The police? My father asked, alarmed. Attempted murder is a serious crime, I said. Even if unsuccessful. The detective said they'd probably check purchase records for peanut products, fingerprint any evidence, maybe even do DNA testing. Modern forensics are amazing. Maya excused herself to the bathroom. We could hear her throwing up from the dining room. Is she okay? My mother asked, starting to rise. Probably just something she ate, I said. Maybe someone put something in her food. Wouldn't that be ironic? The next few weeks were torture for Maya. Every siren made her jump. Every unknown phone number made her panic. She threw away the peanut oil but spent sleepless nights wondering if I'd found it first, if I had evidence, if the police were building a case. She started making mistakes at school, failing tests, missing assignments. Her remaining college waitlists all turned into rejections. She tried to salvage her social media presence, but the fountain video had gone viral in our town and her disastrous bangs were becoming a meme. Meanwhile, my life flourished. The Yale representative reached out personally to assure me they had resources for students from challenging family situations. My art sales increased after I posted my valedictorian speech online. I was invited to speak at other schools about overcoming adversity. The breaking point came 3 weeks before graduation. Maya, desperate to regain some control, decided to cut her bangs herself to fix them. At 3 a.m, with craft scissors and a YouTube tutorial, she tried to salvage her look. She cut them too short. Way too short. Like half-inch stubble short. The scream that woke the entire house was primal. Maya stood in the bathroom, scissors in hand, surrounded by hair, looking at her reflection in horror. She'd given herself what could only be described as a partial buzz cut. "Fix it!" she shrieked at me when I appeared in the doorway. "Like, you did this. You fix it." I was asleep, I pointed out. "Nahalmas, you did this to yourself, literally. You're holding the scissors." "You manipulated me." "I got a haircut. You copied it. You messed it up. You tried to fix it. You made it worse. At what point am I responsible for your choices?" She lunged at me with the scissors, but our parents intervened. As they held her back, she screamed the truth about the peanut oil, about the sabotage, about everything she'd done over the years. She thought it would turn them against me, make them see me as the villain who'd driven her to it. Instead, for the first time, they looked horrified at her. "You tried to poison your sister?" my mother whispered. "She made me," Maya sobbed. "She's always been better, always. It's not fair." "So you tried to kill her?" my father asked, his voice hollow. I didn't mean, she's lying." "You just confessed," I pointed out, and we all heard, "You." The next morning, my parents took Maya to a psychiatric facility, not for a dramatic institutionalization, but for an evaluation. The doctors there diagnosed her with severe narcissistic personality disorder and recommended intensive therapy. My parents, finally forced to confront what they'd enabled, agreed. Maya missed graduation. She missed seeing me give the valedictorian speech in front of the whole town. She missed seeing me receive the mayor's award for community service. She missed seeing our parents, for the first time in my life, look at me with pride. But she didn't miss the yearbook distribution. Oh no, she was home for that. The yearbook committee, which I'd joined specifically for this moment, had selected her portrait as one of the full-page features for the senior section, not out of kindness, but because the journalism teacher thought it was a powerful statement about authentic beauty standards to show someone looking less than perfect. There was Maya, in glossy full-color glory, with those tragic bangs sticking up like a crown of bad decisions. The caption read, "Maya Chen, most unique style." She locked herself in her room for 3 days. But that wasn't even the best part. The best part came when college decisions were finalized. With Maya's rejections and mental health issues, my parents had to face reality. Their golden child wasn't going anywhere. Meanwhile, I was packing for Yale. The night before I left, my father came to my room. "We failed you," he said simply. "We failed both of you, but especially you." "Yes," I agreed. "You did." "Can you forgive us?" "Maybe someday," I said. "But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it doesn't mean giving you the chance to do it again." He nodded and left. My mother didn't even try to apologize. She couldn't admit she'd been wrong, not fully. But she did slip an envelope under my door, $500 and a note that said, "For books." I donated it to the foster care society on my way out of town. Yale was everything I dreamed and more. Without my family's shadow, I flourished. I double majored in art and business, made real friends who liked me for me, and even met a guy who thought my growing out awkward phase bangs were cute. I kept tabs on my family through social media and mutual acquaintances. Maya, after 6 months of therapy, had improved enough to get into community college. She was studying to be a hairstylist, which was ironic but probably therapeutic. She'd had to wear wigs for months while her hair grew back from her self-inflicted disaster. My parents downsized their house, unable to afford the lifestyle they'd maintained while believing Maya would marry rich and support them. They worked longer hours, saved less, and gradually came to understand the cost of their favoritism. But the real vindication came 2 years later at our high school reunion. Yes, we had a 2-year reunion. Our class president was extra like that. I almost didn't go, but curiosity won. I walked in wearing a designer dress I'd bought with money from my first gallery showing, my hair perfectly styled in subtle waves that had taken years to perfect. I was confident, successful, and genuinely happy. Maya was there too, her hair finally grown out to a bland, shapeless length. She'd gained weight from the psychiatric medications. Her skin had broken out, and she looked tired. When she saw me, I expected anger or resentment. Instead, she approached me quietly. "You look good," she said. "Thanks." "I mean it. You look free." "I am." She nodded, fiddling with her drink. "The therapy, it's helped. I can see now what I did. What we all did. It wasn't okay." "No, it wasn't." "I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry." I studied her for a moment. This was new, Maya taking accountability. "Thank you for saying that." "I hated you for so long," she admitted. "But I think I just hated myself. You were everything I was supposed to be, and instead of trying to be better, I just tried to make you worse. And now? Now I'm trying to be okay with who I am. It's hard, but I'm trying." We didn't hug or cry or have a sisterly moment of reconciliation. That wasn't our story. But for the first time in 2 lifetimes, we had an honest conversation. Later that night, someone pulled out our senior yearbook for everyone to sign. When it came to Maya's page with those infamous bangs, she actually laughed. God, what was I thinking? She said, shaking her head. You were thinking you wanted to be me, I replied quietly, so only she could hear. She met my eyes. Yeah, and look how that turned out. You ended up finding yourself instead. Maybe that's better. She smiled, a real smile, not the calculated one I remembered. Maybe. As I drove back to Yale that night, I thought about the strange journey that had brought me here. Death, rebirth, revenge, and finally, something like peace. My luck still followed me. Good things happened when people were kind to me, bad things when they weren't. But I didn't need it as much anymore. I'd learned to make my own luck through choices, through refusing to be a victim, through recognizing my own worth. My phone buzzed with a text from my boyfriend. How was the reunion? Did you show them all up? I thought about it for a moment, then replied, No, I just showed them me. The real me, finally. And that, more than any revenge, was the ultimate victory. I'd spent so much time in my first life trying to be what my family wanted, then so much time in my second life trying to prove them wrong. But in the end, the greatest accomplishment was simply being myself. Bangs or no bangs, family or no family, luck or no luck. Maya had copied my hairstyle, trying to steal my identity. But identity isn't something you can steal. It's something you build, choice by choice, day by day. And mine was finally, fully, irrevocably my own. The epilogue, if you want to call it. That came 5 years later. I was 25, living in New York, running my own gallery, and engaged to that guy who'd liked my awkward bangs. I'd built a life completely separate from my past, though the luck still lingered. Deals always seemed to go my way, critics loved my exhibitions, and anyone who tried to cheat me inevitably faced consequences. Then Maya called. It was the first time we'd spoken since the reunion. Mom's sick, she said without preamble. Cancer, stage 3. I sat down slowly. Despite everything, the news hit me. How long? Maybe a year with treatment? Maybe less without. What do you need? Nothing. I just thought you should know. In case you wanted to say anything to her before. I was quiet for a long moment. I'll think about it. She's different now, Maya offered. The diagnosis changed her. She sees things differently. Dying has a way of doing that, I said, and Maya made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. Yeah, you'd know better than anyone. It took me a month to decide, but eventually I went home. Not for them, but for me, to close that chapter properly. My mother looked small in the hospital bed, her hair gone from chemo, wearing a wig that reminded me uncomfortably of Maya's wig phase. When she saw me, tears immediately filled her eyes. Riley. Mom. You came. Maya called. She nodded, reaching out a thin hand. I didn't take it, but I didn't leave either. I was a terrible mother, she said. I see that now. I picked a favorite before you girls were even old enough to be different. I decided who you were going to be and punished you when you didn't fit the story I'd written. Yes, I agreed simply, and I'm sorry. I know it doesn't matter now, but I'm sorry. It does matter, I said. It doesn't fix anything, but it matters. We talked for an hour, not about reconciliation or forgiveness, but about truth. She told me about her own childhood, about her mother who'd done the same thing to her, about the patterns she'd sworn she'd never repeat and then did anyway. It wasn't an excuse, just context. When I left, I kissed her forehead, not as a daughter, but as one human being to another facing mortality. She died 6 months later. I went to the funeral, gave a short speech about the complexity of family and the importance of breaking cycles, and then went back to my life. Maya and I stay in touch now, texting occasionally, sharing major life updates. She became a successful hairstylist, specializing in fixing other people's hair disasters. She never married, never had kids, but she seemed content. She'd learned to be alone with herself, and that was its own achievement. My father remarried, a woman who had no children and wanted none. They moved to Florida and sent Christmas cards I never opened. And me, I lived. Fully, completely, unapologetically. I had twin daughters eventually, and I loved them both equally and differently. I taught them that identity isn't something anyone can give you or take away. It's something you build, something you own, something you protect. Sometimes I still dream about dying in that parking lot, gasping for air while Maya watched. But now, instead of anger, I feel gratitude. That death gave me this life. That betrayal taught me my worth. That pain showed me my strength. My daughters are 6 now, the same age I was when my parents first started showing their favoritism. Last week, one of them came home crying because a girl at school had copied her hairstyle and claimed it was her idea first. "What should I do, Mama?" she asked, tears streaming down her face. I knelt down, wiped her tears, and said, "You let her have the hairstyle, baby. But you keep being you because that's something no one can ever copy." "But it's not fair." "No, it's not. But here's the secret. Someone can copy what you do, but they can never copy who you are. And who you are is what really matters." She thought about it for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, but I'm still going to get a different hairstyle. Something even better." I laughed, hugging her tight. That's my girl. As I write this now, 10 years after my rebirth, 15 years after my first death, I realize the ultimate irony. Maya spent so much time trying to steal my life, but she never understood that my life wasn't my achievements or my appearance or even my relationships. My life was my choices, my resilience, my refusal to let anyone else define me. She could copy my bangs, but she couldn't copy my spirit. She could steal my opportunities, but she couldn't steal my potential. She could even kill my body, but she couldn't kill what I was meant to become. And in the end, that's what saved me. Not the rebirth, not the luck, not even the foreknowledge. What saved me was the simple, powerful decision to be myself, completely, authentically, unapologetically myself. The bangs grew out, the family fell apart, the past became history, but I remained stronger for the breaking, better for the betrayal, whole despite the wounds. And sometimes late at night, when I'm brushing my daughter's hair before bed, I think about that moment in the gymnasium when Maya sat for her yearbook photo with those disastrous bangs. How the photographer had tried to hide his laughter. How she demanded a retake that never came. How that photo would follow her forever, a monument to her desperation to be someone she wasn't. But mostly, I don't think about the past at all. I'm too busy living the life I chose, the life I built, the life that no one, not Maya, not my parents, not anyone, could take away from me. Last month, I got an unexpected message on social media. It was from Mrs. Kim, the hairstylist who'd cut Maya's disastrous bangs all those years ago. She'd been following my career, she said, and wanted to commission a piece for her salon. "I always knew you were special," she wrote, "even when you came in for that haircut. There was something different about you. Like you knew exactly who you were and what you wanted." We met for coffee when I was back in town for a gallery opening. She was older now, her own hair silver and styled in an elegant bob. "Can I tell you something?" she asked, leaning in conspiratorially. "About your sister's haircut?" I nodded, curious. I could have fixed it, even with her hair texture, even with what she was asking for. I've been cutting hair for 30 years. I could have made it work. "Then why didn't you?" She smiled. "Because she came in waving a picture of you, demanding to look better than you, talking about how she was going to show you up at graduation. She was nasty to my staff, insulted my other clients, and treated me like a servant instead of a professional." "So you gave her exactly what she asked for?" "I gave her what she deserved," Ms. Kim corrected. "Sometimes the best lesson is letting people face the consequences of their own choices." I thought about my luck then, the force that seemed to punish those who wronged me. Maybe it wasn't supernatural at all. Maybe it was just people like Mrs. Kim quietly deciding not to save cruel people from themselves. "Thank you," I said. "For what?" "For letting her learn." Mrs. Kim patted my hand. "Honey, some people need to hit rock bottom before they can start climbing up. Your sister needed those bad bangs. They taught her more than a good haircut ever could." She was right. Those bangs had been the beginning of Maya's downfall, but also the start of her eventual redemption. Without them, without the humiliation and failure that followed, she might never have gotten help. She might have succeeded in poisoning me. She might have gone on hurting others the way she'd hurt me. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to us becomes the best thing for us. A week after that coffee, I received another message, this one from my high school yearbook teacher. They were doing a special feature on successful alumni for the school's centennial celebration. Would I be willing to share my story? I agreed, but with one condition. They had to include Maya's story too. Not as a cautionary tale or a villain's arc, but as a testament to growth and change, because that's what we both were, changed. The article came out last month. It featured both our senior portraits, mine with those perfect curtain bangs that had started everything, Maya's with the disaster that had ended it. But it also included recent photos, me at my gallery opening, Maya at her salon, both of us successful in our own ways. The headline read, "The Chen Sisters, a story of rivalry, redemption, and reinvention." Maya texted me after it came out. "Did you approve that headline? Reinvention seems a bit dramatic." Says the girl who literally gave herself a buzz cut at 3 a.m. I replied, "Touche, also thanks for letting them include me. You didn't have to do that." "Everyone deserves a second chance," I wrote back. "I got mine, you got yours, that's the whole point." "Your second chance was a bit more dramatic than mine." "You don't know the half of it," I replied, thinking of my death and rebirth. "Maybe someday you'll tell me the whole story." "Maybe someday." But I never would. Some secrets are meant to be kept. Some stories too strange to share. Maya didn't need to know about my rebirth or my supernatural luck. She needed to believe that change was possible through choice alone, that redemption came from within, not from cosmic intervention. Besides, I'd learned something important in my second life. The truth isn't always what sets us free. Sometimes it's the story we tell ourselves that gives us the power to change. For Maya, the story was simple. She'd been a jealous sister who'd gone too far and learned to be better. For my parents, it was about favoritism that destroyed a family and taught them the cost of conditional love. For everyone else, it was just another tale of sibling rivalry with an ultimately happy ending. But for me, the story was about death and rebirth, about second chances and cosmic justice, about learning that sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies, it's becoming someone they can never touch. The luck still follows me, though it's gentler now. Good things happen, opportunities appear, and those who try to harm me face consequences. But I don't rely on it anymore. I've learned to make my own luck through hard work, good choices, and surrounding myself with people who see me for who I really am. My daughters are 7 now, and last week, the one who'd had her hairstyle copied came home with a completely new look, an asymmetrical bob she'd designed herself and asked her hairdresser to create. "What do you think, Mama?" she asked, spinning to show me all angles. "I think you look exactly like yourself," I said. "Good, that's what I was going for." That night, as I tucked her in, she asked, "Mama, did anyone ever copy you when you were little?" "Yes, baby, my sister copied everything I did." "Did it make you mad?" "Sometimes. But then I learned something important." "What?" "That when someone copies you, they're telling the world that you have something worth stealing. But they're also telling the world that they don't know who they are yet." She thought about this seriously. "So I should feel sorry for Melissa?" "You should feel confident in yourself. Melissa will figure out who she is eventually. Everyone does, in their own time." "Even Aunt Maya?" I smiled. My daughters had met Maya a few times, knew our history in broad strokes, understood that family could be complicated. Even Aunt Maya, it just took her a little longer. But she figured it out? She did. And you know what helped? What? A really, really bad haircut. My daughter giggled. Really? Really, sometimes we need to see ourselves at our worst before we can become our best. She snuggled into her pillows, satisfied with this wisdom. As I turned off her light, she called out, "Mama?" "Yes." "I'm glad you didn't let anyone stop you from being you." "Me too, baby. Me too." Standing in her doorway, watching her drift off to sleep, I felt the weight of both my lives, the one I'd lost and the one I'd claimed. The girl who'd died in a parking lot, gasping for breath, and the woman who'd risen from that death stronger than before. Maya's attempt to copy my bangs had been the catalyst for so much: her downfall, her redemption, our family's destruction, and eventual rebuilding. But it had also been the final proof I needed that I'd won something more important than any competition with my sister. I'd won the right to be myself, and that victory was worth more than all the supernatural luck in the universe, more than any foreknowledge of the future, more than any revenge I could have planned. It was worth dying for, and more importantly, it was worth living for. As I walked back to my own room, my phone buzzed with a text from Maya. "Saw a girl today with the exact disaster bangs I had in senior year, almost warned her. Then remembered what you said about letting people learn their own lessons." "And," I texted back, "and I gave her my card, told her to come see me in 6 months when she's ready to fix them. Sometimes the best thing you can do is be there for the aftermath." Look at you, being wise. I learned from the best or worst, depending on how you look at it. "Both," I replied. "We learned from both." "Yeah, hey, Riley." "Yeah? Thanks for not giving up on me. Even when you should have." I stared at the text for a long moment, thinking about forgiveness and family, about second chances and soul-deep changes. "Everyone deserves a chance to grow out their bad decisions," I finally wrote. "Even the really, really bad ones. Even the attempted murder ones? Especially those. They make the best stories at reunions." "You're never going to let me live that down, are you?" "Never, but I'm also never going to hold it against you. That's what sisters do." We weren't very good at being sisters the first time around. I smiled at my phone, thinking of my secret, my death, my rebirth, my second chance that had given her a second chance too. "Good thing we got to try again," I replied. "Good thing," she agreed. And it was. Against all odds, through death and rebirth, through revenge and redemption, through really unfortunate bangs and fortunate personal growth, we'd found our way to something like sisterhood. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't what it could have been if our parents had loved us equally from the start. But it was real, and it was ours, and it was enough. More than enough. It was everything I'd never dared to hope for in my first life, and everything I'd fought to achieve in my second. It was proof that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's everyone getting the chance to become who they were meant to be. Even if it takes dying first, even if it takes the worst haircut in yearbook history, even if it takes a lifetime or two to get it right, the end.